Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at the Bull Armory TAC Pro 4 1/4. So we're going to do an unboxing on this pistol, go over everything it comes with out of the box and some of the basic features, and then we're going to hit the range and do the first shots. Now if you're not familiar with the Bull Armory TAC Pro, it is a 2011 or a double stack 1911 style of pistol. It is chambered in 9mm. These pistols are made in Israel. They import them to Florida, and you do buy them direct from Bull Armory. Now in the world of 2011 type pistols, the sky is really the limit. You can get some really cheap Turcados, or you can get the Atlas and some of those really expensive guns that are $6,000, $8,000, or $10,000. In my opinion, with the limited experience that I have with this type of pistol, I think in that $2,000 to $3,000 point is kind of the sweet spot when it comes to these pistols. After that, you definitely are getting diminishing returns for your money. And below that, you're definitely going to be getting into some more cost-effective options. You're going to have more MIM parts and things like that. So I think that $2,000 to $3,000 realm, although that is still really expensive, I think that's the sweet spot for these pistols. Luckily, Bull Armory has a lot of different options that fall into that range. They also have some that are a little bit less. Pretty much the direct competitor for their pistols, and specifically this pistol, is going to be the Staccato. When I went out to buy one of these, I definitely took a close look at the Staccato. I have shot those in the past, and after really weighing the options and the features and the things that come in the box, in my opinion, the Bull Armory was a clear winner. So with all that out of the way, let's take a look at the pistol and everything that it comes with. It is going to come in the highest quality of cardboard boxes. When you open up the box, you're going to get a very nice range bag. At this price point, you definitely should get that. Now the TAC model from Bull Armory is going to include 4 magazines, which we're going to have right there. And the Pro model is going to indicate that this is the ported model. So on any of the Bull Armory pistols, if you see the designation Pro, you know that means ported. So these magazines are going to hold 20 rounds, which is pretty awesome. If you compare this to the competitors' magazines that hold 20 rounds, their mags are considerably longer. These mags barely stick out of the pistol, but they do hold 20 rounds. And they do have aluminum base pads, which is super nice. They definitely seem like very high quality magazines, and including 4 in the box is really nice. Now some people are going to consider these mags to be a con because these are not standard 2011 mags. In the past, 2011s were really plagued with bad magazines. That was quite a few years ago. When that was happening, Bull Armory decided they would fix that problem and make their own magazine, and they have stuck with it until today. If you have a big surplus of 2011 mags, that's definitely going to be a con. But if you just have a few guns, or if you're just jumping into one 2011, it's definitely not a con. And one of the big pros to this mag, other than the increased capacity, is also that they are quite a bit cheaper than Staccato mags, or 2011 mags, I should say. Next is going to be a gun lock that we don't need. We'll get into this in just a minute. You got the bag that the gun would normally be in. We'll look at that in just a second. Inside of the bag here, you're going to have another bag. Inside of this bag, it's going to have 4 different optic plates. One is just going to be a filler plate if you didn't want to run an optic. The other is going to be a RMR plate, so anything of an RMR cut. The next is going to be a Delta Point Pro, and then a RMSC. Now the optic cut on this pistol is really unusual. In my opinion, if you're going to go with a plate system, this is probably the best I have ever seen, and I honestly wish more companies would do something similar. First off, you're not really using a plate in the traditional sense. The plate is simply sandwiched between the optic and the slide, so it is just a filler plate. You're actually putting your screws directly into the slide, so that's definitely a good thing. Also, right in the center of the plate, there is a post that the plate sits on top of. That post is taking all of the shock as the slide is reciprocating back and forth. So it's really taking it off of the screws, which can be a common problem, and putting on that post. And I think it's just a really solid system and a pretty good design from Bull. They do also have a acro plate that is coming out hopefully 3rd quarter of this year, 2025. I definitely plan on picking that plate up because I am a big fan of the acro, and I'll probably switch to that optic when that comes out. Also in this baggie, you have another mainspring housing pin. The pistol does have a really nice and large magwell. We'll look at that in just a minute. But if for some reason you didn't want to run that mag well, you can swap it out, and they do include the pin right out of the box. Next, you have your tool for your takedown. It does have a full-length guide rod, but it is not a toolless takedown, so you do need a tool. If you lose this, no big deal. You can use a paper clip or anything like that, but it's nice that they do give you one. You've got all of your paperwork. You've got your owner's manual. You've got a very decent little cleaning kit. You have a second recoil spring. So this is an 11-pound recoil spring. It does come with a 10-pound in the gun, so you can kind of tune it to your ammo. And of course, it comes with a couple stickers, and the most important thing, a patch. You are really getting a lot with this pistol right out of the box. At this price point, I think you absolutely should. And compared to a lot of other options, Staccato, it definitely gives you everything you need to get this thing up and running. You don't have to instantly go buy more mags, buy an optic plate, or anything like that. You really do have everything right in the box. Now, that's enough talking about what it comes with. Let's check out the gun. And here it is, and she is a beaut.
It's a beaut, Clark. It's a beaut.
As I mentioned, this is the TAC model, which is going to designate that it does have a full steel frame. It is the Pro model, which means it does have the V8 porting right here on the top from the factory. If you got this same gun, non-Pro model, everything about it would be identical except for two things. It would not have the porting, and instead of a black front sight, you would get a fiber optic. On the ported model, they give you a black front sight because, well, frankly, the ports would blow the fiber optic out anyway. I personally prefer this sight picture. I like having all blacked out sights when I'm running an optic. That way my eye doesn't have to struggle between two different things. I just see the dot, nothing else. Now, I already mentioned the optic plates. Here you can see I have a Holosun 507 comp mounted, and I am using that RMR plate. I really cannot stress enough how much I like this mounting system. We have really good front and rear slide serrations. I mean, they're nice and deep, they're aggressive, but they don't tear you up at the same time. These slide serrations, I would say, are basically perfect. Here on the muzzle, we have got that crowned barrel that is flush fitting. I really do like that. It's a good look, and that type of crown should also lend to some good accuracy. You can see the full-length guide rod right there underneath. The texturing on both sides, I would have to say, is absolutely perfect. It's not too aggressive, but it is definitely on the aggressive side. You're not going to have any issues with this thing moving around. It really does lock down in your hands. You've got nice texturing on the front and back strap. You have a double undercut trigger guard. Your magazine release right here is ever so slightly extended, or at least I believe it is to my eye, but it is also threaded. So if you wanted to run some kind of extended magazine release, maybe if you have some really short thumbs, you do have the option to do that. It's just the attention to detail that makes this thing so awesome. The safety and the ambidextrous safety, I should say, and the slide release, the entire thing just has texture on it. Like, it's just ever so lightly textured. So just no matter what, you're not going to miss that safety. If you do miss that slide release, it is going to always have a textured point. So no matter where you hit it, you're going to have something to grip onto. Coming on back, you do have a full sweep, or what I would call a full sweeping beaver tail, so it's not bobbed off. This is more of a traditional 1911 style beaver tail. There's pros and cons to this. I personally don't mind it. You've got more of a competition style hammer, which is something that carried over from Bull Armory's open guns. Now, when it comes to the trigger, let me show you that up close. Right, we have just a little bit of take up to a wall, barely press. There's the brake. And the reset right there, and brake. One more time, reset, brake. Really can't ask for a trigger to be much better than that. That trigger is frankly amazing. On my gauge, it breaks consistently at 2.5 pounds. I'm sure with more and more rounds, it's just going to get even better. Also on this trigger, it's kind of nice. The shoe itself is in a kind of dovetail. Traditionally on these type of pistols, if you wanted to change out this trigger shoe, that would kind of be a job for a gunsmith. But on the Bull Armory, it is dovetailed in. So you can get on their website, short shoes, long shoes, flat shoes, curved shoes, you get the idea. You can really adjust the trigger reach and the trigger profile to suit your needs. Now we do have that full steel dust cover underneath, Picatinny rail. I have added a GOONBEAM light. This is the short V2. It's pretty much just a clone of a TLR1, but it does have significantly more output. If you enjoy this video and find the information helpful, hit that subscribe button, maybe drop a like or a comment. It does go to help me out. Here on the bottom, we have a very nice flared mag well. I would call this mag well pretty much perfect. Let me grab a mag. There's absolutely no hang-up points anywhere in this mag well. No matter what angle you hit it, it's going to go in no matter what. Now, as I already mentioned, if you don't want to run this mag well for whatever reason, maybe you're going to conceal this or something, you can take out this pin and remove it, and they do include the shorter pin, so that is nice. Me personally, for the context I'm going to use this in, I'm going to leave this mag well on because I do really like it. And here you can also see how these mags fit almost flush. They stick out ever so slightly, and the fact that that is a 20 round magazine, but it doesn't stick out any more than it does, is pretty awesome. And the base pads on the magazine mate up perfectly with the mag well, so you've got some dimples here if you have a malfunction and you need to strip the mag. Everything about this thing is just really thought out, and the attention to detail, it's just through the roof. Now, if you're the type of person that wants to see all of the fine-tuned, nitty-gritty specs on a pistol like this, I could try to go over those and quote based off of memory, but I guarantee you I would forget something. So for any of you out there that are like that, I'm going to put those on the screen right now. All in all, I am extremely impressed with this pistol out of the box. This thing is just really nice, and you can just tell it was made for shooters by shooters. And since that's what it's made for, let's go ahead and do that. We're going to head to the range. I'm going to load up all of these mags, and we're going to put the first shots through this pistol. This was my first time to load these magazines. Normally I would use a Maglula when I am preloading mags like this, just because it speeds up the process and also saves the old thumbs. But I wanted to load these up the first time by hand, just to see how hard or how easy it was. Being a 20 round magazine, I expected it to be a little difficult, but I was pleasantly surprised at how easy they were to load, even without a loader. Alright, first rounds through the Bull Armory TAC Pro. I'm loaded up with 20 rounds of Winchester. This is just 115 grain ball. I got a USPSA target, probably about 13 yards away. I'm just going to put a few rounds in the center and see where the optic is and see how it functions. Okay, 5 rounds. Looks like I'm pretty good on my windage, just a little bit low. Let me go ahead and do 5 more. Yep, definitely about an inch or 2 low. Let me make a quick adjustment and we'll keep shooting. Alright, I adjusted the optic up slightly. I'm going to move over to this other target and put 10 rounds in the head. Well, that is the first 20 rounds. Can't ask for too much better than that. My point of impact did go up just a little. I think I need to make one more adjustment, but it's definitely getting close. All right, got the adjustments made. I'm going to gas it up, see how it does. All right, all of those seem to be basically dead center. That group was about the size of a golf ball, so I'll take that for now. Now let's go ahead and run this thing a little faster, the way it was intended. Well, I'm not going to say that didn't feel nice. Let's check out that target. So I was shooting this paper target right here, about 12 yards. And those were all alphas. All right, going to do a quick and very unscientific accuracy test. We're about 15 yards away, Just going to shoot a 5-round group with Winchester ammo. I'm still playing around with the 0 on this optic. Obviously, this is just the first shots. So I'm mainly just looking at the group size, kind of get an idea of what this thing is capable of. In the future, I'll put this thing on a bench and get a little bit more data, but this will just be the first impressions on the accuracy. All right, check it out. Well, I would say that's not too bad out of the gate. Pretty much just a one-hole group. Definitely not a bad group for a gun that I'm still getting used to with pretty cheap ammo. So I by no means have the right holster for this gun. This is pretty much just a bucket on my belt, but I do have one on order. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and give a bill drill run. We're still at that about 12 or 13 yard mark, but let's just see what happens. Well, considering I'm not really used to this platform, and this is an active retention holster that I also am not used to, that was a 177. All the hits are a little high Alpha Charlie, but first run out of the gate, I'll take it. All right, now I'm going to clear my poor man plate rack. I'm going to do it on the timer from the draw. These draws are going to be really slow. As I probably already mentioned, I'm just not used to this platform that much as far as coming out of the holster. Once I get it out, everything will be all hunky-dory. But getting it out of the holster will be interesting. So let's see how this plate rack goes. .330. It's painfully slow. All right, we're now back here at 50 yards. Just going to put a few rounds on a piece of seized-on steel. See how that goes. Well, as you would expect, it went really well. All right, 10 more rounds, seized-on steel. It's going to bring us up to an even 100. Well, as far as first shots go, I think that went as well as it possibly could. We put 100 rounds through this pistol in about 20 minutes, just using the cheap Winchester white box stuff. It was 100% reliable. We didn't have any ejection problems or anything like that. I used every one of the magazines at least one time, just trying to test them out. I also picked up several pieces of my brass just to look at the primers and things like that. Didn't show any signs of any light strikes or anything else, so that's definitely a good thing. This pistol also returns under recoil as good or better than any I have ever seen. By returns, I simply mean as you are breaking shots and the dot is lifting, it goes back to the exact same spot every single time. Of course, you have to have a very consistent grip to make that happen, but as long as you do your part, it can be shot very quickly and very accurately. Not to mention, the action on this thing is buttery smooth. It literally feels like it's riding on glass. All in all, I was extremely impressed with this pistol as soon as I took it out of the box. After putting 100 rounds through it, I'm even more impressed. I'm really looking forward to putting a lot more rounds through this gun, testing out a lot of different ammo. Down the road, I may even do a full accuracy test on this pistol. And once I get a proper holster and some mag pouches and things like that, I will definitely be running this thing hard and see what it can do. I hope y'all enjoyed today's video and found the information helpful. If you would like to contact me directly, there's several ways you can do that. My email is down in the description. You can also catch me on Instagram and Facebook. I'm sure I'll be posting a lot of shorts on YouTube and a lot of stuff on my story featuring this pistol. So if you're interested, you might want to check that out. As always, thanks for watching. See y'all next time.